How's it going, everybody? Welcome. My name is Jake, also known as the Mad Italian, and the second season of the Fallout show has concluded. The time of recording, it is Wednesday, the 4th of February, and I decided to gather around some Fallout nerds. So to go ahead and talk about Season 2, how it compared to Season 1, how the show overall has been getting well received. So far, it's getting pretty well received, and yeah, let's just have a little bit of a discussion for it. So I decided to bring in some good friends of mine who are also big Fallout nerds. So if you look up NCR Trooper cosplay, you're more than likely going to find him on the Google search. We have Oddball with us.
Yep, I'm Oddball. Also, the other Jake.
The other Jake, yeah. Thankfully, we call each other by our screen names so that no one gets confused. And we also have the courier with no name.
Yes, sir. My name is Lee. I'm the courier with no name on Instagram, and probably going to be something different on YouTube soon when I start trying to get some firearms history stuff started. But that's a ways out for now. But let's get started with this info. This is going to be a pretty good topic to talk about today.
Yes, so I wanted to go ahead and get this going as soon as possible. So with Season 2 finally finished, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was honestly kind of dreading Season 2 coming out. Not because of the show itself, but because of how the community acts about it. Because I think we can all agree that the Fallout community are some of the whiniest people on the planet. They're not the worst fan base ever. That still goes to Star Wars, but they are.
Star Wars.
Yeah, there you go. But they're pretty bad. Fallout fans are really obnoxious. We've been in the community for many years, so we know.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I was saying whenever most of this stuff started with the second season, where people were complaining about certain things and they were cheering about certain things, I told y'all a couple of times as it was going on, it's not the greatest thing since freaking bread, since sliced bread, and it's not, the worst thing since World War II. It's not the end of the world, and it's not amazing either. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it is very cool, and that's kind of been the main consensus, because I kind of feel more or less the same way about this season as I did last season. It's like I enjoyed it. It was a good show. It was fun to watch. I like the references. I don't really consider it like a masterpiece. I think there are it's definitely like a higher grade above a lot of other adaptations. It's leagues above Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're never, the one thing you can always count on, you will never be the worst adaptation. That goes to Halo.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
So if anyone's out there is talking about how the Fallout show sucks, or it's not accurate to the source material, just watch Halo and you'll have an aneurysm like I did.
I mean, I'd say it's accurate enough to the source material. You can tell if you enjoy Fallout, you'll enjoy the TV show.
Exactly. I would say so. But yeah, do we want to go through character by character or episode by episode?
Episode by episode is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot easier because there's a lot of characters, and like one of my big complaints with Season 2 is we had too many character stories going on simultaneously.
Yeah, it was hard to follow every single one, to be honest with you, because there were so they introduced a couple of new people, of course, but it was so hard to follow. Like whenever, what the hell's Lucy's brother's name again?
Norm.
Whenever Norm's taking all the freaking people out of the vault and all these kids and everything, finding out that girl's like not a part of the actual group of people. She only got the job a week before everyone else. So it's like, okay, who the hell is this chick? There's some other stuff going on. Like, I don't know, man. It took a while for that to get moving. And I don't think we even saw anything happen until episode 6 with that, right?
So that's actually a good, we can go ahead and start with the negatives. So that's definitely something that I noticed with this season compared to the first one. It's very, and we talked about this a little bit off camera as well. It's very busy compared to season 1, there are a lot of plot points and there's a lot more different stories going on. And, well, honestly, much like a Fallout game, some quest lines are pretty interesting and some don't have the same quality. So
Yeah.
you're going to have some quest lines and some storylines that just aren't as interesting, and then some that you kind of want to go back to. It's very Game of Thronesy in that kind of way, because at least in my experience with Game of Thrones, there's like, there's characters I like watching, and then some that I'm like, all right, I kind of want to like get past this so way we can get to the next stuff.
I think their biggest problem is they tried to pack too many storylines into only 8 episodes. So it's like the whole Brotherhood Civil War thing was basically done and dusted in 3 episodes. Even though that was kind of the highlight in the trailers for season 2, that whole thing is basically just the first episode. We don't really even see the Brotherhood of Steel, and then it's episode 2 and 3, and then it's basically done.
Yeah, and I definitely think that really could have taken a lot more, because I feel like the whole Civil War thing with the Brotherhood, it needed more of a slow burn compared to what we ended up getting, and it was that. So that's another thing I do. Sorry, go ahead, Lee.
No. I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to say it was also a little interesting that we're seeing entire Pridwins getting knocked down, but then, I mean, spoilers, of course. My apologies, anyone, but we're watching. You know what you're watching at this point.
Yeah, no, I'll put a warning at the beginning, so we're good.
Yeah, the end credits afterwards goes back to the Brotherhood, still fighting at Area 51 this whole time, which you'd kind of think, after watching 2 fucking elders of other chapters die in the initial battle and several Pridwins crashing, that either the very heretical guy that raised Maximus or one of the other elders would consolidate some power in the battle amidst the confusion. I don't think it would go on for that long. It's a little much, especially considering at length how much they're showing in the end, how many people are like wounded in like the barracks with like IVs and crap. I don't know. It feels like they drew it out off camera, but it doesn't make sense why.
It is kind of hard to see how much time has passed, because for all we know, it could have been like the night after or something like that. But I do get what you mean. Yeah, it does seem like, because they kind of wanted to get away from the Brotherhood storyline, which is a shame, because I've said in the video I did back when season 1 came out, I said that Maximus was probably my least favorite character of the main trio, and his writing for this season has substantially gotten better. I would say a lot of the character writing for most of the characters has grown tremendously. I think Maximus has gotten better as a character. I think Cooper is overall even more interesting than he already was. He was already like probably the fan favorite. Now he's even better. One of the things that I think in terms of the main trio, I do feel like Lucy's character took a backseat this season.
She very much did. There was very little in the way of character development with her, other than we get like one episode of her all loopy and on drugs, and I'm like, really, that's the best you could do with her character development?
Yeah,
It's funny.
It's fun. It's like a fun moment for her to have, and I do think it kind of went back to the season 1 hijinks of her kind of like discovering the world, and because I always saw Lucy, she's meant to be kind of like the Vault Dweller protagonist from Fallout 1. If you play them up to be a like morally good character, which I'm totally fine with her being like this morally good character that always wants to help people, because that's exactly how you can play your character into Fallout games. All the Fallout games allow for that. I'm just waiting for a time. I'm like, can we have her become a little bit more aggressive? Can we have her kind of grow to be more of a badass? Because my favorite scene in season 1 is when she comes out of like the ghoul-infested house. She's like in her tank top. She's got some leather armor. She's using like a pistol instead of the trank gun. Like that's a really cool moment in season 1. And I was waiting for that to happen again. I'm like, when is that moment going to happen for her again? And she does have moments. I do like how, like when she interacts with Hank, she kind of starts to be she pushes back against her father. She never does get manipulated by her father again, which that is something I do like, and that is definitely some development that I do appreciate from her. But it does feel like it's a lot slower compared to her development compared to everyone else.
with Lucy, it very much feels like they don't know where they want to take her character, and that kind of shows in season 2. Because like season 2, we see a lot more development with Maximus. We get a lot better understanding of Coop's motivations, and we see him kind of tame back a little bit. And I mean, Cooper definitely seems like a better person now that he's been traveling with Lucy, no matter how much he gets annoyed by her trying to always do the right thing rather than doing the quickest thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's definitely what they were foreshadowing at the end of season 1, is that they were going to be traveling together. So it was going to be like Lucy was going to rub off on Cooper because, you know, her good nature is going to remind him of like his nature back when he was still human. And then like in the same way, Cooper is going to kind of like reflect Lucy a little bit more because you know, he's been in the wasteland for so long. Maybe she'll start to kind of grow into more of this aggressive wastelander. And it kind of does. You know, we do see moments where she is showing her skill with a gun. She, you know, non-lethally is killing off the cons in the first episode. So I definitely think that they had some moments like that. It just didn't feel as significant as season 1 did.
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to add to that, I think we'll finally see her hardening in season 3 because, you know, it was confirmed before season 2 even dropped that they were going to do 3. So that's great because we also, of course, saw the mutant, and in the like art title cards at the very end of the season, for the signs saying "Take your family to Colorado" or whatever it was, there is a super mutant meat bag hanging off of the sign, and so it's that super mutant that saved Cooper said something along the lines of, if you won't work with us, you can't know where we are. And then we see that at the end of the season. So, I mean, he said something about an army too. I don't remember. I need to see the episode again because I only saw every episode once so far.
Yeah,
he mentioned he mentioned something about them having an army and they're preparing for war, which was kind of our initial.
And he said the Enclave.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of the right words how to phrase that. Is our first inkling that, oh yeah, the Enclave is going to be the next major threat, and then obviously we get what comes out in season or in the finale.
Yeah. But also, like, you know, they already were exploring the FEV with what the hell's going to happen to Vault 31 and 2. And so, like, now it's like, holy crap, were Vault 31 and 2 not even going to be, like, people that go to the surface? They were going to be, like, the super mutants that go up and are, like, the armed force that fights for the Vault Tech CEOs and crap while they go up and try to redo shit. Like, holy crap.
Like, in a way,
it's really weird to think about.
In a way, kind of tying back to Fallout 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of FEV, I'm wondering what kind of FEV cocktail that Thaddeus got injected with, because he's clearly not turning into a ghoul.
Yeah, something, because there was a lot of theories about that. Because originally people were thinking, like, was it FEV? Is he turning into a super mutant? And now people are saying, like, is he turning into a Centurion? Something's happening because he lost an arm and he's got, like, he's probably not long for Thaddeus.
Yeah, and he's got that weird, like, tooth growth on his kind of between his shoulder and his neck.
The thing is he's likely just because what you guys got to remember about the FEV, if you think about the Master in Fallout 1, it's extremely experimental. He was just chucking rats and dogs and all this crap into it. That's how he made centaurs. But at the same time, like, he still threw them in one at a time, and there were varying results. So, I mean, however, like, I don't think he injected him with that much, and people were being dipped into vats of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole different scale. So maybe it's just him reacting at a much slower rate because a small amount was injected into him. That, or maybe it's like some concoction that's like messing with him in the way where it's just causing those mutations. No, like, super mutant, no ghoul, none of that stuff. And I mean, his arm fell off, so
Well,
That's another thing too.
if I remember correctly, there was something in the lore about how the radiation effects on the body also affects how FEV mutates you, and a
Yeah.
lot of the centaurs were failed FEV mutations. They were trying to make super mutants, and those came out because of contamination. So I'm wondering if that's what we're seeing with that is.
Yeah.
That's why I went down the FEV route.
Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely they're keeping us guessing, which I think in one hand is definitely it is a good thing because I do think they're keeping the mystery intact. Hopefully it doesn't become a like a J.J. Abrams type of mystery where it ends up
Being nothing.
we either never find out or it's just a nothing burger. But I do, because there's a few moments in the show where I do feel like there's some and once again, a lot of my complaints, I want to mention, yes, they are very much nitpicks, but it's just one of those things where I feel like I kind of feel like this was a very easy avenue they could have gone down. Like there's this one in particular scene in the first episode where they come across that one lady's shack and it's like, oh, she has fleece soup, and I'm like, I feel like that was a very easy moment for them to be like, oh, she has bloatfly soup or some kind of actual food from the game. And that could have been a nice like point at screen moment, like, I recognize that, that type of thing.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of missed opportunities. As like also episode 1 when they have the shootout there in Novak, and they're playing Big Iron, and Coop doesn't have his signature revolver or a revolver of any kind. Like, how can you play Big Iron and not have a revolver in the scene?
Yeah. At least he gets a shotgun, but that's not what the fucking point of the song is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that's something all three of us can agree on. Is overall, most of our complaints about season 2 are relatively minor things.
Yeah.
They are. They're mostly nitpicks, and I felt the same way about season 1. It's just a little bit of like I got a question like, why did they do that instead of this? Whatever. I mean, just move on, because the overall plot points of season 2, I think, are fine. Everything is laid out in a way that I think does make sense. Because I was really curious about because the state of Vegas was definitely the big plot point, or a big the main thing that a lot of people were calling attention to, because everyone was wondering, oh, what ending are they going for? Who's still around? And well, we kind of find out that it's like they kind of do house ending, but they also kind of don't. It's very weird because they decided to maneuver around the endings in a very peculiar way.
Yeah, it was actually kind of impressive how they managed to maneuver around all 5 possible endings. And yes, because I say 5 because if you think about Dead Money, there is a 5th ending option for the game. Spoilers after a decade if you haven't played that yet.
Yeah. Honestly, if anything, I don't even know if anyone knows about that ending. But long story short, you team up with Elijah and you poison the Mojave.
Yeah, you basically you unleash the cloud from the Sierra Madre on the Mojave.
I was gonna say 2 funny things really quick. I think it was the final episode when it was the first time we're zooming back into the Lucky 38 to like see Cooper talking to House. And I shit you not, I had to pause and rewind the clip because I wasn't 100% sure if the shot of the desert with the ruined buildings and all the shit and rubble around Vegas itself was pre-war or after the war. And I was like, oh, wait a second. Because I've been to Vegas quite a lot. And I was like, okay, is this an actual candid shot or is this actually post-apocalypse? I just thought it was kind of funny. But no, other than that, I actually got mad at I think it was episode 2 or 3 initially with the whole demon in the snow with the Deathclaw being brought into Anchorage, because I was like, that's a fucking retcon. That doesn't make any sense. What the hell? And I looked it up, and what I found was that no, the Deathclaw originally was literally made for the operation of Anchorage because the U.S. military was in such a desperate spot, and that was like one of the first things the Enclave did that it influenced. And after a while, they took the program and they kept working on it in secret after the war, basically. So I was like, oh, well, shit, I was just rusty on my knowledge then. Hot damn.
That's actually something I do want to talk about. We'll wait until later for that. But yeah, it's overall I do the plot points I think for like Lucy and Cooper, it definitely because I remember there was a little bit of concern. I also think that it was a better idea. I'm glad that we had episodic releases, because I don't know about you guys, but I really don't like it when they just release the entire season and you have to binge it, because I think it kind of keeps the excitement a lot longer when they do the episodic releases. So
Yeah.
I am glad that we had that, just because I feel like everyone was able to go like weekly with the episodes, and it was more exciting that way. But
Yeah. One thing I would say it would be nice to see for like season 3 is either instead of 8 episodes, do 9 or 12 episodes. That way you can get a nice Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. You can nicely divide things up, because they kind of felt like they were trying to do that this season. The way the plot points kind of jumped around, but I think with only 8 episodes, everything ended up being condensed down too much.
Yeah.
And I can see what they're doing. They kind of want to have a lot of overarching plot points, and then they have them meet together. Because for the most part, that kind of happened with the main trio. We had Cooper and Lucy travel together, and then Lucy and Cooper get separated. Maximus joins up with Cooper, and then they kind of work together, and then Maximus reunites with Lucy, and now Cooper's on his own. That's kind of the whole gist of what we're going for. So we have Lucy kind of in the middle, bouncing around 2 different partners, essentially. Which is interesting to see, and who knows, maybe we'll at the end of season 3 we'll have like Maximus and the Ghoul together, and then Lucy will be on her own. I wonder if they're going to keep this kind of cycle with the trio, but I do wonder if we're going to get more, because now we have Norm, like you were mentioning before. He's outside the vault, and then we also have the stuff at the vault too. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and it's interesting how we see the commotion in Vault 33. And then that wraps up around episode 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is just what's going on in 32. And it's kind of funny that everybody was didn't give a shit about the horrific things Steph had done until they find out, oh, she's Canadian.
She's Canadian.
And that's the breaking point. Not that she murdered somebody, not that she's 200 plus years old. No, it's the fact that she's Canadian.
I mean, have you met Canadian?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've got quite a few friends that are Canadians. They're actually pretty cool.
I do as well. Hey, CJ, if you're watching this, how's it going, dude? I'll see you on the podcast next week.
Although I did find it rather interesting, the reveal there at the in the final episode that Steph and Hank were married.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one. But Italian was saying the other night off camera, it's also weird how, or actually, I don't know which of you said it. It was either you, Oddball, or Italian. We still haven't gotten to the point of the first episode of the first season with Cooper, where he's at the birthday party with his daughter, and he has to run away from the bombs as they're dropping. We're not even close to that. Cooper's getting arrested. So it's whoa, what the hell is going on right now? What's about to happen?
Yeah,
well,
we get flashback sequences.
We're not even at the point of where Fallout 4 begins, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was, although this season with the flashbacks, it was kind of interesting to see the fact that the kind of, we see a divergence and the marriage beginning to fail, so to speak, between Coop and his wife. And then they very much patched things up in season 2, which was actually kind of nice to see.
It was actually a really good twist, because it's kind of shown, because I feel like there's some things that I think they went a very easy route with, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's just, writing 101. But I actually like the fact that they're kind of showcasing, I forgot her name. What's Cooper's wife's name?
Barbara?
Yeah.
Barbara.
Yeah, I think it's Barbara because I was getting confused because we got Barbara, which is Coop's wife, and then Betty, who is the overseer at Vault 33, and I was getting them confused as shit last night off camera.
Yeah. So it's interesting because they kind of have her a little bit of like not really a twist villain, but more of like a twist hero in a way. It's like, yeah, she actually doesn't want to. She actually doesn't want to go through with the whole like dropping the bombs first, which is another thing that they introduced in season 1, which I remember when they showcased that of like, oh, Vault-Tec started the war. It's like, well, hold on a second, because we saw that one guy in the shadows. That was most likely the Enclave, so maybe they're still kind of behind it. And they revealed that the Enclave still are the top dogs of in terms of like the factions in the Wasteland.
Well, yeah, because if I remember correctly, I can't think of his name right now, but the original story writer for Fallout 1 and 2, he said in an interview
Tim
that
is what you're thinking of.
Tim Kaine, he said in an interview, I believe it was with TK Mantis, he said that the reason the Chinese fired first is because they found out about FEV. So
yeah, that's right.
So my thought is like Vault-Tec, if Vault-Tec wanted to start the war and drop the bomb, they don't even have to physically drop a nuke. All they got to do is get with their contacts at West Tech and leak the information about FEV to the Chinese, and then the Chinese drop the bombs. Problem solved.
Which, on one hand, this is something I can understand. I remember I discussed this with some of the other fellas last season, is that I think one of the big things, and I think Bethesda kind of struggled with this as well, is that a lot of the past stuff in at least from like Fallout 1, 2, and for the most part of like New Vegas, and I would even say 3 as well, is that like what happened in the past doesn't matter. What matters is that it led us to here. It led us to where we are now, of like where the games take place, because we're in the Wasteland. That's what's important right now. It's like you mainly just get the introduction and the monologue you get from Ron Perlman at the beginning of the games is just to say like, this is how it happened. This is where we're at now.
Not even so much this is how it happened. This is what happened, and this is where we're at now.
Yeah. Which I think there's a little bit of like a misinterpretation for because I do think there's a big fascination with the past in a lot of Fallout, like modern Fallout media, which I think for a show it works a lot better compared to how it was in Fallout 4.
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem is just now you have a series that's been around for so long. There's a lot of questions about how did we get here. So now you have different writing teams constantly trying to fill in the gaps to satisfy a fan base that, let's be honest, are never going to be fully satisfied with what answers you get. As we pointed out at the beginning, we got some really whiny fans in the Fallout fandom, and it's like the old saying goes, you can't please everybody, but you can piss everybody off pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and regardless, you know, one of the best things that any adaptation can do, and I will say this about like adaptations I don't like or game series I don't like, is that the best thing that it can do is it can bring more people into a franchise and make them play the games. And the same thing happened with this season as it did for season 1 did. It brought more people into playing the Fallout games. I don't know if you guys have checked the Steam charts. I don't know. There's a sale going on for Fallout. More people are playing Fallout.
Yeah,
all the Fallout games are getting played now, even the original ones. So maybe not as much, but like more people are playing Fallout 4, New Vegas, 76, and that to me is the best thing that an adaptation can do. It was the same thing that happened with Cyberpunk Edge Runners. More people played Cyberpunk after that came out. So if it can generate more interest in the product, I consider it a positive outcome.
I do want to give a shout out to the absolute sadists that are doing this and going back and getting the OG isometric games to run on a modern computer. The people that are going through that headache, I mean, more power to you. I've heard some horror stories in various places, and it's just, I'm at this point, because my introduction to Fallout was Tactics. So I played Tactics, then I played 3, New Vegas, 4, 76. But I rather than trying to get the old games to run, I just find somebody who has managed to get the game to run and then watch their playthroughs. because it's a far less painful experience.
Yeah, especially Fallout 1 and 2 are rough, man.
Well, even Tactics was rough.
I never played Tactics. Tactics was good, right? Tactics was actually decent.
Yeah, Tactics was okay. It's better than the one we don't talk about, sponsored by Balls. Which I think that's the only game that is like been officially decanonized altogether.
Oh, yeah. BOS.
Yeah, the BOS one. Well, even Tactics it's Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel, and then you've got Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, which is naming conventions were a little bit. Yeah. Moving on.
Well, you know what? Speaking of Brotherhood of Steel, I actually do want to talk about that plot point a little bit because I think that was by far one of the more interesting, but sadly kind of one of the more underutilized storylines that was in this season, because they really introduced like the whole like this slow burn kind of civil war that was about to happen. And then it just kind of happens and it becomes a background thing and it's an avenue to have Maximus and Thaddeus break away from it, and then eventually, which it is what it is type of thing. But even still, I guess we'll have to see in season 3 as well.
Yeah, I think that was probably my biggest complaint with the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout season 2 is there's two things at play here. One, once we get introduced to the other chapters, which was Coronado, was it Colorado? What was the other one?
Rio Grande or Grand Canyon or some shit.
Yeah. Those three factions, those three chapters very much gave me the vibe of only one step removed from being raiders.
Yeah.
And I didn't like how when they first get to Area 51, how the knights just seem like one intelligence jocks. I mean, you're sitting there and you got it really annoyed me, the scene where you got the two knights that are sitting there constantly playing with the plasma grenade right up until Maximus takes it away from them.
Yeah, and we talked about before, that would make a lot more sense if they were like scribes or something, like some kind of like lower rank people. Like
scribes or initiates.
Yeah, someone who wouldn't have power armor at that point. Because, think of power armor guys, especially when you play the games. I mean, hell, even like Fallout 4 and 3, like the guys in power armor are very quiet guys. They're very disciplined. They're very like more stoic in that sense. Not everybody, obviously, but they're a lot more serious because they had to go up in the ranks.
Yeah, that complete lack of like discipline and good military order that we've kind of seen in 3, New Vegas, and 4, which was kind of like a defining factor for the Brotherhood of Steel, just kind of went out the window. In season 2.
Granted, it can be due to the fact, like you said before, it's a different chapter. So maybe different chapters have different levels of like maturity within the ranks. And, obviously, like we're seeing when we play the games, we're seeing, 4 and 3, we're seeing the Commonwealth chapter and the East Coast chapter. So I guess if you I'm trying to stretch it right now, like I'm grasping at straws, but that's kind of like the way I see it, at least, or one way you can see it, at least.
Yeah, but like it's like I said, that's for me. That was just the annoying thing. It's the complete lack of good order and discipline seemingly within that chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. It was just, it was kind of annoying because we haven't seen that in the other chapters. Whether it be the East Coast chapter under Lion or Maxon, or even the what we see in Tactics, or which is the Midwest Brotherhood, or the Mojave chapter there in Hidden Valley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot more like quieter, stoic, and sometimes even very, very dangerous and threatening people, especially if you are working with Veronica and her mission. But one thing I can't appreciate, because a lot of people, the main complaints that a lot of people have with Bethesda Fallout is that they have, Lee, you and I are Warhammer fans, they have a little bit of the Ultramarine problem, where the Brotherhood of Steel are always present and they are always shown to be the greatest fucking faction in the wasteland. They're always there. You're always going to see the power armor guys, which I get it. You want to have like the main armor. You want to have like the color.
Love me blueberries.
Simple as. Yeah, you want to have like your poster boys. I can get that in some extent, but I'm kind of glad that if nothing else, even though it was a little bit rushed with the storyline, they did take a back seat so we can see the other factions. We actually got quite a bit of NCR, which we are so back.
Yes.
I'm still going to be slightly annoyed and a little bit salty that the Legion got more screen time than the NCR did, but
well, they had to set up the new antagonist.
yeah, but still, I can be salty about it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Legion, dear Legion fans, get fucked.
I am Kaisar. I am the Legion. When I die, the Legion disbands.
Hold on. No, I told y'all. Remember, I told y'all it was something fucking similar to that because I thought, just from what it said, from what we could see in the first couple episodes, it looked like it said something along the lines of, I am Caesar. I am the only Caesar. And that's what I told y'all I thought it said. And it was something along the lines of like, it was very fucking close. It was, I am Caesar. The Legion dies with me or some shit like that in the show. And I was like, oh my fucking God, I called that shit.
Yeah, it was. I think it says, "I am Caesar. I am the Legion. The Legion dies with me." I think it's the exact word of the note.
And I was like, I was so fucking vindicated when that scene came on. I was like, holy shit, I called it.
Well, fast forwarding real quick, and I'm glad I was vindicated. I said we're going to see the NCR enforced because we saw too many troopers in leaked photos for that for all of them to be in the Shady Sands flashback.
Oh yeah.
And you were right.
Although
we did see him.
Oh yeah.
Although I am still going to be slightly annoyed that we didn't see enough service rifles with the NCR.
Well, I am happy to see that we actually are getting more. We're getting more like actual guns that actually look like guns instead of the Fallout 4 assault rifle, which I fucking hate the Fallout 4 assault rifle so much.
I think you said you noticed a Galil, right, Oddball?
Oh yeah, if you look at the scene there and the finale when the NCR comes marching out, one of the troopers towards the front when they form up and the major takes command, I forget her name, but yeah, one of the troopers clearly has a Galil. There's a Galil, there's an RPK, there's a trench gun, I think, ring with a mouth set. It's a Model 12.
I
know
there was an 1887.
I haven't looked. Alex thinks it's a Model 12. I'm inclined to agree with him, just because he knows the trench gun is a little bit better than me. But there's like a Moss 36, which is a French bolt-action rifle. We saw both the Rangers carrying AMRs. Yeah. There was the cool one for me was one of the guys was holding a PPSH 41 with a stick mag instead of a drum mag. And then there was one guy that had what was clearly either a Swedish K or a Smith & Wesson Model 76, which is basically a direct copy of the Swedish K.
I do wonder if the lack of service rifles is, I wonder if it's because they don't have like the means to produce them because of what happened to Shady Sands. Maybe that could be like a explanation for what they want to do. Maybe they're just kind of like scavenging for what they have, something like that.
Well, I'm just gonna say it's Hollywood.
That's
I mean, Hollywood really didn't care.
Yeah, well, obviously, I know that there's like a legitimate reason, and that's probably the legitimate reason. But like, once again, grasping at straws to find an explanation.
Yeah.
Well, I had two good thoughts on this. One we can do that would be lore friendly is they wanted the NCR to seem a little more ragtag. So rather than having everybody with matching weapons, let's give them a bunch of different weapons so I think seems a little more ragtag. And then the real world explanation is whatever prop house they were working with or armory company they were working with, they just didn't have enough service rifles or AR-15s to make into service rifles, and they didn't want to spend the money to get a bunch of service rifles.
Yeah, they're like,
because you figure
they're like, hey, Amazon Workshop, what do you got for us? And we got like a bunch of this shit. You want to use it? Yeah, let's just dirty it up and give it to the NCR troopers.
Well, I don't even say it's just Amazon Workshop because they had some interesting weapons there. Like I said, the Swedish K is a bit of a or the Smith & Wesson 76, that's kind of an outlier there. That's something only like real gun nerds are going to recognize what it is. It's kind of an obscure weapon to have in there.
Okay.
But it does fit too. That's the thing.
Well, and that's the thing, it does fit. It's because it's kind of like with an M3 grease gun. It's mostly a stamped construction, so it's easy to mass produce.
Yeah.
Although I would have loved to have seen like M3 grease guns standing in for the 9mm submachine guns, some Tommy guns, a couple of M1 Garands, M14s, something that the fans would recognize as weapons from the game, minus the M14 because that wasn't in the game, but M14 is just basically a modified M1 Garand. It's close enough.
Yeah.
I do wish that
But at least-
there was more energy weapon usage in the show, which there was definitely more this season compared to last season. Like we actually saw.
Well, season 1 we had 0 energy weapon usage. We just saw one on the wall. At least this time we see Maximus with a laser pistol duking it out with fucking Elder Quintus.
Yeah, and then Cooper does use is it the Tesla?
The Gauss rifle.
The Gauss rifle.
Gauss rifle. Oh yeah, seeing the Gauss rifle was a nice throwback. Another energy weapon.
Mhm.
So that was real cool. Yeah, that's probably been the other like niggle for me for season 1 and season 2 is we don't see enough laser rifles being used by the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah, like and they should be the high tech guys. Like they're the ones like when I think Brotherhood of Steel, I want to see them with like miniguns, Gatling lasers, at least a laser rifle, like laser rifles, plasma guns. I just think I don't know.
Well,
if
not
the budget is not allowing it or whatever that's happening, but I wanna see
it's
more of that.
it's probably a budgetary thing, but not so much the plasma rifles with Brotherhood of Steel, because when I think plasma weapons, I think Enclave.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I mean, it's,
First season with the doctor when he was escaping.
yeah,
Oh shit, they did.
Yeah, they were holding them, the guards.
Oh, okay, they were just holding them. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, it's like because for me, when I hear plasma weapons, I automatically default to Fallout 3. And the Enclave was primarily armed with plasma weapons, as where the Brotherhood of Steel had laser rifles.
Okay. And then was it we do see doesn't Moldaver have like a laser pistol in season 1?
I think so, but I don't remember if she actually fired it or not. I think she did fire it. So I lied earlier when I said 0 usage of laser weapons in season 1.
I don't remember her firing it actually though, but anyway, like back to season 2. So one thing that I do really like about it is that they're like, okay, let's take the factions and let's challenge them. Let's put them through the ringer a little bit. So they decide to put every faction in the game and in the show, and it's like let's really kind of put the pressure on them and see how they react to it. So every faction is basically taking a hit in some way. The NCR lost Shady Sands. The Legion lost Caesar. The Brotherhood are having complete issues with each other and are constantly infighting. And hell, even like House, if we count him, like he just cannot get the people that he wants to listen to him. Like Cooper is not listening to him fully. So
And can we also agree that they did the Kings dirty?
Oh,
yeah. I definitely they did. I will agree on that one. They did.
There was literally no need to kill the king. There was no need for them to do that.
There was no reason to ghoulify all of the Kings just so Lucy could have a drug-fueled fucking rampage. Although she was impressive with her accuracy in that scene.
Yeah. It was fucking hilarious up until the king himself was shot.
Yeah,
Assuming
that was depressing.
That is the king.
Oh, that was the king. That he is wearing. That's the king. That was his outfit.
Yeah, anyone who's arguing against this fucking coping, dude, why else would he have the fucking spitting image of the same fucking outfit he had in the game? It's the king,
he's got the king's white jacket and his guitar. That was the king. That is very depressing.
Well, good night.
Fuck you, Bethesda.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
Well-
why the fuck else would they have done it? It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's yeah. Well, because the cons are still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw one group of cons and they got their shit absolutely rocked by the ghoul.
Which is a good thing, by the way, because the only good con is a dead con. Bitter Springs was an inside job.
You know, I wonder though, was that the last of the cons? I wonder.
We don't know. Most likely not, because I'm sure that's a very easy like faction you could just have repeated at some point.
Yeah.
Well, the cons are kind of like cockroaches. You can never get rid of all of them. They always pop back up.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the shit stomped out of them in Fallout 1. They get the shit stomped out of them in Fallout 2. Fallout 3, New Vegas, depending on which option you take. But they're still around and in force. No, the thing,
because like what we didn't see, which I guess it does make sense because it's been a long time, and why would they still be here? Is that we didn't see the fiends.
Yeah.
that the fiends were more than likely completely wiped out.
If not by a faction, then by themselves, because they're just gonna overdose and die.
Yeah. Well, also, can you think about the fiends got most of their drugs from the cons, and if the cons got severely beaten down, which they did look pretty ragtag, even more so than what we see in New Vegas, they probably don't have the ability to provide the fiends with drugs anymore, which probably would have led to a lot of infighting amongst the fiends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they probably would have ultimately just wiped each other out.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that was kind of interested in, is that we never saw a vault that is from the games, did we?
Nope.
No.
Okay, because every vault was a new one, because there was that one in the first episode where they go down and it's like they're teaching people how to be communists.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
I don't think they were teaching them to be communists. I think that's just another example. That was just another example of a Vault Tech experiment gone wrong.
Yeah.
So, but the thing I meant, yeah, because we see the vault. Which, did they even name that vault? I don't remember.
I think it was like 20. Wasn't it like 23 or something like that? It was somewhere in the 20 range, I think.
Let me look it up real quick.
Well, another thing that I think we can definitely talk about is we can talk about so Colorado, most likely going to be the next location that we're going to be going to. But I mean, obviously we have like Colorado is set to be the next location, but this season we were in Vegas and we were still in California because we were going back to the vault that's in California as well. So if they keep on going with the storylines that they want to do, are we going to have like 3 different storylines in 3 different states?
Probably, because we're probably going to see Norm dealing with whatever out there in with 31, 32, 33. We're probably going to see Lucy and Maximus working with House to save the strip. And then we're going to have Coop wandering around in Colorado trying to find whatever vault his wife and daughter in. And it was Vault 24, by the way, and was the brainwashing vault we saw in season 2.
I was right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing, because like they kind of left it at the end of season 1. It was kind of like it was pretty clear as to where they were going to go. But now in season 2, it's very, the ending kind of left a lot to interpretation. Like, I really don't know where they're going to be going with this, because it really is, like, sky's the limit, I guess you could say. Like, we know that the Legion and the NCR are going to be warring with each other again. We see a flash of House, so he's definitely going to see these two individuals and be like, oh, maybe I can talk to them. Maybe I can convince them to help me out. Something like that. So yeah, it's a lot to take in when it comes to the different plot lines, which I hope they're able to wrap them up pretty well. I think they will. They've been doing a pretty good job so far. So
yeah, my prediction right now for season 3 is we're going to see Lucy and Maximus working with House, and one of the plot points is going to be House has another bunker somewhere with a shitload of Securitrons that haven't been activated, much like you see in the game underneath Fortification Hill.
Yeah, and
that are the means to make more, like a factory.
Yeah, well, especially now that
factory.
Yeah, more than likely, because I mean, because we have the cold fusion diode is kind of the replacement for the platinum chip, effectively at this point. It's the stand-in. And now that House has cold fusion and he can power all of his systems, we're definitely going to see more Securitrons in season 3, and they're going to play a pivotal role in defending the strip.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the mind control chip? Do you think that plot line is over, or do you think we're going to see that return in season 3?
No.
That we're going to see that in season 3.
Yeah, with the Enclave coming in, we're going to see more of it.
Okay.
And I mean, you remember what Hank said. he already had people sending his R&D out into the fucking waste with that shit.
And plus, Hank made a very specific point to mention the fact that they have miniaturized them now, so you can't even tell who does and doesn't have one of the mind control chips in them.
So yeah, there's definitely so we're definitely gonna see like some Order 66 level shit.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of which, I think Hank got off way too easily. With all the shit that he did, I kind of wish he suffered a lot more because
Oh, dude, when Lucy was given the gun by Cooper and he starts talking all menacingly, I literally just was sitting there like a fucking soap opera, screaming at my TV, going, "Shoot him!
kill him, kill him."
But here's the thing about that. What Hank did was probably the cruelest thing he could possibly do to Lucy.
Yeah.
Because he is effectively dead, but he's not. So Lucy is going to have to live with that pain. And since Lucy's a good person, she can't take out her anger on her father, because he has no memory. So he doesn't even know what he's done wrong. He'll have no idea why Lucy is angry.
So he essentially took away her revenge or like justice in this way.
Basically, it very much reminds me of something from Babylon 5. In Babylon 5, for the Earth Alliance, they have a form of capital punishment where they don't execute people anymore. They use telepaths to basically wipe your mind, and they call it death of personality, where they wipe out who you are, but leave you alive so you can be re-educated and still be a productive member of society. That's kind of what they've done with Hank.
It's like a memory castration in a way.
Basically, you see Hank, so every time Lucy sees Hank, she's going to remember what Hank did, but Hank's going to have no memory of it, and that is going to torment Lucy. That was it. Actually, that was a very clever and very cruel punishment for Lucy's rebellion against her father.
Which, yeah, I guess when you put it like that, it very much is. It's kind of like Hank being very petty even to the end, and even to his own daughter.
Yeah.
He didn't have a choice. If you understand what was going on, the Enclave is aware of what's going on. He knew it. He knew it while he was doing that. That's why he did it. Because he knew if the Enclave came, he was going to be tortured until he told them everything.
Or worse, if he spilled the beans to Lucy, she would be tortured. So I think while what Hank did was very cruel and very selfish, at the same time, he was trying to do it to protect Lucy, because if he wipes his memory, because I think Hank knew that ultimately Lucy was smart enough to get information out of him. So he was also, while what he did was kind of cruel to Lucy, he did it in a way of trying to protect, because I think Hank, no matter what, did love his daughter.
Yeah.
To the point where he fucking nuked Shady Sands to get her back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he very much is that like ends justify the means type of character, and we see that there's a very good difference between the three Vault 31 Vault Dwellers that we do see. Whereas like Hank is that very ends justifies the means, I'm just doing my job type of thing. We have Stacy, who was very much out for herself and out for revenge on the Americans for what they did to her. And then there's Betty, who I've mentioned this before. She is the oldest out of all the 31 Vault Dwellers, and she has spent the most time with the other Vault Dwellers. So she had kind of grown to actually care about them as trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, I think with Betty, she's been around those Vault Dwellers long enough, like she legitimately cares about them. She's also come to the realization that the original plan is completely foobar. So the only thing I can do now is to protect my vault and my dwellers. Very much in a tough love manner, but I think she legitimately, she doesn't care about the experiment anymore. And she definitely wants her vault to survive.
And Nate just wiped out an entire generation of kids. Or Norm, sorry. Norm.
I was about to say, when did Nate the Rake get in?
Yeah.
Look, he's gonna find a way. There's a Canadian in the vault.
Yeah, well, I mean, while Norm, yeah, you can argue he did wipe out an entire generation of middle management executives. At the same time, they made their choice and they chose poorly.
This is true.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Also, they're level ones that got fucked up by rad roaches. Fucking noobs.
No, let's be honest here. They made Brad Roaches a little on the OP side.
Yeah.
Because like that one Rad Roach ripped that poor bastard's throat straight out,
Yeah,
and
that
like
was-
we see Rad Roaches ripping arms off. Those things are way OP.
Yeah, they are fucking terrifying.
Yeah, more so than anything we've ever seen in the game. We're approaching like Cazador level of terrifying.
Which speaking of which, once again, this is a nitpick again, but I do kind of wish they were Cazadors.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it would have made sense because they are technically still in California, but I don't know. You could probably make it work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been long enough that the Cazador population could have spread, or that would have been the thing that's nice. Give us some of the other wasteland creatures. Like, we didn't see any Brahmin this time, even though we saw a single Brahmin in season 1. Deathclaws got a lot of screen time. That was nice.
Yeah, we were bound to see a death claw at some point, and we saw quite a few.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, we haven't. Yeah, and we saw some red scorpions. That was nice. But we didn't see any night stalkers. We didn't see any cazadors. We didn't see any mole rats.
You're right. We haven't seen
Didn't see any-
rats. That's actually kind of surprising because they're like one of the more. They're also one of the more common enemies.
We also haven't seen any bloat flies.
Yeah, we really. Yeah, okay. They really are kind of lacking when it comes to some of the animals that we could see. Reject mutation. Remain coyote.
Coyote, yeah. Well, I think part of the reason they haven't thrown a lot of those is they're focusing mainly on the characters, which I mean isn't a bad thing. It's just a minor nitpick in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. It's just once again, Fallout fan. I want to be pointing at the screen, thinking like that's from the games.
Yeah.
You want to know something real quick that I just thought about?
What's that?
Yo,
The thing with Hank, because remember, like you just said, Oddball, we did see the Brahmin in the beginning. The guy, remember, he had the chip. That was when Hank was younger. That wasn't when he. That doesn't make any sense. I'm just realizing.
oh
now.
yeah, when he uses the mind control chip to get the guy to deliver the nuke, the technology's untested.
How the fuck? Yeah, he should
That is,
have that.
you're right. That is a what?
Wait,
No,
that's not-
because okay, so
The guy, the fucking patrolling the Mojave makes you.
Oh,
the
yeah,
guy that delivered the nuke to Shady Sands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has the fucking chip on his neck. But remember, that's when Lucy was a kid.
Yeah.
He did that way the fuck before season 1. That doesn't
well,
make
the-
sense.
Oh
Well, no,
shit, that's a good point. Wait, hold on.
Hold up. No, they actually kind of retcon that to a degree, because in one of the flashback scenes in Vegas, you hear one of the guys talking about that chip, and Hank is really interested in it. Oh, when they first get to the Lucky 38. That's they do touch on that.
Also, we do see in the first episode, we do see House use it on that one guy in the pre-war scene.
Well,
Yeah,
but
and
it's
It
just
does work. It does work.
Well, yeah, but
Just-
it's just House. That
Yeah.
makes sense because House didn't trust them. That's the whole point.
But remember, House did talk about how the Enclave was. He never expected somebody to be 2 steps ahead of him, and the Enclave was. So that whole mind control chip, the Enclave, that would be something that'd be very appealing to the Enclave. And mind control is something the Enclave was working on. Because remember, in Fallout 3, you have the Death Claws that have the little mind control thing on it. And if you have that RFID tag with you, the Death Claws won't attack you; they'll just attack everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, mind control is very on brand for the Enclave.
Yeah, that's definitely another thing to think about for sure. But
I think the problem is that they explain that very poorly, and that just comes back to the whole they're trying to pack too much stuff into an 8-episode arc.
yeah, and I do think at the end of the day we do need to either one of two things. Like you said before, we need to have more episodes a season, which is honestly, that's just a thing that a lot of shows need to have. I remember shows used to have 12 episodes a season
Or more.
or more. Yeah,
You mean, I was gonna say, you remember when shows used to have 26 to 52 episodes a season?
Oh yeah.
yeah, that used to be nice. But we either need to have more of that because I mean, I think the way that they justify it's like, oh, the episodes are an hour long. It's like, yeah, they're an hour long, but at the same time, you know, an episode's an episode. It's not gonna, I don't know. It just doesn't feel that long when you really cut down to the grand scheme of things. But also, I think what we need to do is that either condense the storylines to like maybe have some more characters reunite. Maybe we can see Norm and Lucy get to see each other again. That would actually be nice. Have some sibling bonding. You know, have the trio spend a little bit more time together, which would also be cool because we don't really see the trio spend that much time together in season 1 or 2.
Yeah, I was surprised they killed Hank before what's it called? Norm was able to interact with him outside of the vault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Oh,
surprised about
that's going to be real interesting because what happened with Hank is going to come as a complete shock to fucking Norm. He's going to be devastated by that.
And who's gonna believe Lucy?
Assuming Lucy even makes it back, because that's the thing is that the whole thing with the NCR going against the Legion, that's going to be like a big focus, most likely. So there's a lot going on, but go on.
Let's face it here, with Lucy's character, soon as she finds out Norm's in trouble, she will drop everything she's doing and bag ass back to California to save him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's in Lucy's character. She's absolutely going to do that.
Which that kind of leads me to believe that, like, I wonder if they're gonna keep the characters separate from each other, because it seems like that's kind of what they want to do. They want to keep like splitting the party, which I don't even know if like the party is the right word, but they want to split the party into like their own separate storylines.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of this is going to boil down to, because we know season 3 is confirmed. Are we going to get a season 4? And I think the show's successful enough we might see a season 4.
Yeah.
Which
because it's already a cult classic and it's only on season 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which that's one thing I will say is that, listen, Fallout fans, say what you will. The show has problems. We've been talking about it. We've been discussing it. The show is not perfect. At least we're getting fucking content. It's not like the Elder Scrolls fans, all right?
Let's face it. It's not just that we're getting content. We're getting good, enjoyable content.
Yeah. Like, there may be a retcon here and there, but it's ignorable compared to everything else.
Exactly. And I also want to address the people, because there's always the same dipshits online that are going to, like, hyper-focus on single things and say, like, the whole typical, oh, fuck Bethesda, the franchise is ruined, all this other shit. And then they take one clip or one still image and they use that as fact, as basis. And then the episode comes out and they explain a lot more of it. And then it turns out what they thought was originally true is not true. So,
you mean people rage bait?
Yes. But like, it's just my whole thing is just take a fucking second before you just post retarded shit online. All right, that's at the end of the day is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of been the problem for the last couple of years. It's just people will take one thing out of context and then use that to get everybody whipped into a frenzy before we even know what is actually going on. It's like, take a deep breath. Don't assume you know what's going to happen next episode based on the really cool, flashy scenes we see in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But more than anything else, what I would really like to see in season 3, I want to see T-51 armor.
Fair. Very fair.
That's my favorite power armor, and I want to see it. We're probably going to see XO1 if the Enclave are getting involved. So,
that'd be God. I hope not. I hope they jump straight to XO2 or Hellfire.
Hellfire.
Screw XO2. That's a piece of crap. Hellfire, please.
What's wrong with XO? All right, never mind. I'm not gonna.
XO2 is literally called. No, that's the XO1. I was gonna say bug armor, but whatever. Fucking XO2 is called the Devil armor, but that's not a fitting name for how shitty it looks.
Hellfire.
Yeah, well, they call the XO2 the Black Devil because it's got those 2 horns on the back of the helmet, which are kind of stupid. No, they're not kind of stupid. They absolutely are stupid. It serves no purpose.
They look like fucking bunny ears.
Join the Enclave, boys and girls. All right, but with that being said,
Why did you just do a Mickey Mouse voice? Wrong franchise.
No, I'm thinking, yeah, join the all right, cut that part out. Yeah, join the All right.
Oh, there's gonna be an interesting jump cut there.
The power of editing. All right. Well, with that being said, you guys want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. Be sure to leave a comment. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe. My name is Jake. I'm the Mad Italian. You can also follow me on Mad Italian IG on Instagram and Italian Jake on Twitter. Oddball, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm the other Jake. I go by Oddball0311. You can find me on Instagram. That's mainly where I am. I don't do much other social media outside of that.
All right. And Lee, where can they find you?
The courier with no name underscores on Instagram. Same thing. That's just where I'm at for now.
All right. And thank you guys. Well, thank you guys for joining me on this talk. And thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy your stay.
Later.